I'll never forget the ads from 1982 in the newspapers. It knows what scares you. Poltergeist came out in 1982. It was produced by Steven Spielberg, written by Steven Spielberg, and directed by Tobe Hooper. For those of you who know Tobe Hooper is, he directed the classic 1974 horror make of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The first time I saw Poltergeist, if I have to be real, was in school. Okay, they would never do this nowadays, but back in the days when there were not enough teachers for the classrooms due to snowstorms and things like that, and they used to keep us in the school, so they had everybody go into the auditorium. I was in 8th grade, by the way. I was in 8th grade when this happened, and they played Poltergeist. They played Poltergeist. And let me tell you, I never saw this movie, but then when I saw it, it was so crazy creepy. It was scary. It was scary. Okay, we've kind of become accustomed with supernatural horror throughout the last couple of decades, and we've seen everything from Conjuring movies to the Amityville Horror to, The Haunting. There's different kind of haunting movies on and off throughout the years. And you kind of get the same, more or less, same idea. Ghosts or worse, infest a house and the family is tormented and, they try to bring somebody in to kind of like get rid of them to clean the house. Poltergeist is that kind of a story, but I feel that it's that kind of a story that has the volume turned way up. It took it to another level, to the point that it really messed people up. It gave kids nightmares. Didn't give me necessarily nightmares, but it gave kids nightmares. It's an old film, 1982, but it holds to this day. It spawned 2 sequels and a remake. None of those hold a candle to the original. None of those ever made that the original did. Family lives in this newly built development area, somewhere I think in California, from the looks of it. Maybe I'm wrong. And apparently, the one of the main employees of the development project that built this neighborhood lives in one of those houses with his wife and their 3 kids. I think the youngest, Carol Ann, was actually theirs, whereas the other 2 were from a previous marriage. What started out as fun and games, benign little funny things that was kind of cool in the beginning, right? Turned into something chaotic and crazy when Carol Ann, the youngest, started making contact with the other side through the television set. So an open frequency on the TV. Back in the days when there was no signal going to a particular TV channel, there was just snow and this hiss. Okay, for those of you old enough to remember that. And that was the medium by which the other side was conversing with the little girl. But then one night, things went crazy during a storm. There was a tornado nearby. Tree came to life, tried to eat the boy. That was creepy and crazy as hell. And then while they were trying to help the boy, Carol Ann got sucked into the closet because the closet became a doorway, a gateway to the spirit realm. And something abducted her out of the realm of the physical world that we're so normally used to into the spirit realm. Let me tell you, creepy, and then, the disturbances continued and everything. And they got in these paranormal investigators from a college to investigate, to do, and there's a particular scene when they're all like spending the night in the living room and things started happening. A couple, one of the investigators, one of the photographers was in the bathroom and had a moment. That was classic in this movie. Wait till you see it. It's like, it's kind of face ripping. And then you see the ghosts And then they finally find another woman, this short little old lady who is in kind of like, look at her, think of her as Lorraine Warren, except a lot smaller and a lot funnier. And she was cute, and she was really wanting to help this family to try to get their daughter back. She sits them all down, tells them that all of these spirits are ghosts of people that have not moved on. They think they're still alive and they're still trying to, live their lives, but they can't because they're not alive. And that there is a terrible presence that she calls the Beast. When I heard that, I was like, oh, the Antichrist is there? And I know now that there's no link between those two concepts, but it was called the Beast. Obviously, it was some kind of demonic entity. They were able to get Carol Ann back, but the craziest part of this movie was the finale, the climactic ending scene when they think that things are going well. They were actually in the process of moving, and but then what happened was, well, things went crazy again. And a friend of mine, kind of back in the day, kind of made it clear because I said, I thought they cleaned the house. I thought the house was clean, and he went, the house was clean, the ground wasn't. You know why? Because before they built these houses on that area was a cemetery. And the main guy, the father, was, since he works for the company, was led to believe by the top dog that they were able to transport all the bodies and all the graves to another location, years before they started building. What they didn't tell him was that they just moved the headstones. The coffins and the bodies were still under the neighborhood, under the houses, notably their house. Because at the end, all of a sudden, out of the blue, they're trying to get out. The swimming pool scene, the coffins popping up out of the ground in the heavy rain, and the evil entity trying to like suck Carol Ann and the boy into the spirit realm again, and it becomes this crazy thing. And let me tell you something: if Steven Spielberg, he couldn't he would have, had he not been busy with E.T. that year, he would have definitely been directing this movie, not Toby Hooper. There were reports that these two weren't very particularly working well together. Now, whether or not that's true, I really honestly don't know. I'm just telling you what I've heard and understood in my last research of this film. I do know that this film definitely did make a mark, and not since arguably The Exorcist did it traumatize that many people, because the things you see in this film, and it was rated PG. It was rated PG. That shouldn't have been rated PG. That shouldn't have been rated PG. I mean, it messed up a lot of kids. It messed up. Ooh, look at this Steven Spielberg. No, no, not this one. Not this one. With the bodies popping up out of the ground and throwing on the. It had a Steven Spielberg flair. It really did. Visually, even in some of the shots that were done, and the effects that were there, and I appreciated it very much because it was a horror movie. It was a straight up blown out horror movie. Music was by Jerry Goldsmith, and Jerry Goldsmith is known for other horror movies like The Omen trilogy. I would definitely recommend it, even for people of this time period. Like, check it out. It was actually very good. The story was well put together. It puts the family in a nice setting, in perspective. You kind of see a little slight omen in the very beginning regarding a lost, died family pet. In the beginning of the movie, it was a canary. If you watch closely, that whole dynamic with that little pet bird that Carol Ann was so sad that she lost, and this was before the supernatural occurrences begin, you kind of see how it visually that kind of connects to the last ending part of the movie. I'm like, it was like almost like a foreboding sign that this wasn't going to end happy. I'm going to give Poltergeist, the classic, man, 5 coffee cups. You can't go wrong with a movie like this. Ignore part 2, ignore part 3, ignore the remake. Don't watch it's not there. Just don't bother. Don't waste your time. I didn't watch it, but everybody says it was god awful, and it doesn't anywhere come close to holding a candle to this original classic from 1982. Watch Poltergeist, come back, talk to me, comment below, and let me know what you think. One of the greatest classic horror movies to ever come into the 1980s. In my younger years, of course, I'm talking about Poltergeist. It knows what scares you. Check it out. This is Ralph Perez, Horror and Coffee retro review of a retro classic. Until next time, take care.